Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Let's talk about a significant fight in the welterweight division. Errol Spence comeback, his return, is tentatively set for November in a pay-per-view showdown on Fox. A lot of pay-per-views in the latter part of the year. But Spence and Garcia have agreed to terms for a PBC Fox pay-per-view and what would be a measuring stick of how back is Errol Spence, is, in terms of percentage-wise. Is he 70%, 50%? From the sounds of it, it doesn't exactly sound good when you hear about, Spence hasn't even been sparring, that he's looking to perhaps get in some work in August. So obviously Spence is going to be, the timing's not going to be there. The ring rust will be apparent. And he's fighting a decent fighter in Danny Garcia, a decent welterweight. But I know a lot of fans are gonna ride with Danny. They're gonna look at the odds and see if they can cash in on a possible upset. But that's the question: is there an upset special here in this proposed fight for November? A significant step towards Spence proving that he is legitimately back, that nothing has been taken out of him from that car crash. It'll be intriguing in many ways to see if Spence has recovered from the accident. Does he have any issues physically? Because, we haven't seen him much publicly, but the man wasn't looking right physically. The way he was talking. The last time I saw him made an appearance, I believe that was back in the Fury Wilder pay-per-view fight rematch, and he wasn't looking right in that interview. But it's been 5 months. He still hasn't sparred yet, and it just sounds like he's never going to be the same. That this is the end of the line. That he's not the same fighter. But I don't think Danny Garcia is going to be the one that pulls off an upset special on Spence to derail a potential Spence Crawford fight, or even a Spence Pacquiao fight, a Spence Thurman fight. It's unfortunate, man. Spence was really riding high after that Porter win. Even if some people feel he lost, that was his coming out party. He became unified champion. He hasn't proven that he's the truth in these performances, but he still had the hardware. He still had the wins. He's still undefeated. He'd still be a favorite over Terrence Crawford. He'd be a favorite against any welterweight in the world. But why is that? Even though he doesn't have these great performances, ever since he's stepped it up, he's only had that performance against Brook, couldn't stop a lightweight, and goes life and death with Sean Porter. If you're the truth, you should have stopped the Sean Porter. At least should have stopped the Mikey Garcia, at least. But I don't think Danny's going to be the one to do it. I think it's not an easy fight, but it's a very winnable fight for Spence. Danny is, he's coming off a shit performance in a boring fight against Ivan Redkach. Shitty fight that was on Showtime earlier this year. Seems like a long time ago. But freaking Gervonta Davis did more damage in a 10-second sparring clip than Danny did to Redkach in the entire fight. It was a bad performance. He didn't look good. He looked He didn't look like a top fighter that night, or even a guy that could even challenge an Errol Spence. But it's a good fight to see where Spence is at. Spence. The only thing that Danny will have going for him in this fight is he's not gonna have to look for Spence. He'll have an opportunity to counter. He'll have an opportunity to throw that left hook that he likes to throw. He won't have to find him. But Spence will be the favorite, and he should be the favorite until proven otherwise. But I know some of y'all are gonna think Danny could be able to pull this off. It's a lot of unanswered questions about Spence regarding his health, his physicality, his teeth. Haven't sparred since the Sean, he hasn't been in the ring since the Sean Porter fight. Hasn't even sparred since. So there's a lot not to like when hearing these preparations when it comes to Spence and getting back into the ring. The damage is a lot more than what was reported. But if Spence struggles against Danny, then we know he's not ever going to be the same. Because Keith Thurman didn't really struggle with Danny. As many people like to say, that fight was not close, man. I don't know where people was watching, especially the judges. It was a split decision. Thurman did not struggle with Danny. Sean Porter relatively outpointed Danny. I don't think he struggled either. So if Spence can't have a lights-out victory, or at least have a clear-cut win, then we know, man. We know. He ain't the same. He's really going to be he's just going to get cashed out against Crawford if that happens. If he's not looking like he was prior to the accident, if he struggles or gets in a life and death struggle with a Danny Garcia. Prior to the accident, not many would pick Danny to beat Spence. The odds will be highly in Spence's favor, probably as high as an 8-1 favorite. I mean, he was a 7-1 favorite against Sean Porter. Imagine what he would have been against Danny prior to the accident. But now it will be like around 2-3-1, maybe even 4-1. The odds will be attractive on Danny. I don't think you ever get Danny at those type of odds ever again, unless he's fighting, a Mayweather, or this is probably like the best value you'll get at Danny Garcia in regards to this fight. We'll see, man. We'll see if Spence can have a truth-like performance, actually show some greatness in the ring that he's been lacking even prior to the accident. That's what I want to see, man. Show me why you should be favored over Crawford. Show me why you should be that you could be the one to beat an aging Manny Pacquiao. You gotta show me though, man. I haven't seen it. Not in your most recent fights. It's been relatively unimpressive. You outfought Porter. You fought his fight. You got the job done. But that fight should have been a lot easier. Should have been a more statement win. And now there's nothing but questions surrounding you, man. You need a big-time performance for Errol Spence. Or will we actually see an upset here in the end of the line of what should have been a more promising career for Errol Spence Jr.? This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.